Hello world, and we are back. And my name is Kyle Fischl. This is going to be episode 30 of my poker vlog. And today, I'm going to talk about a session that I played December 8th. It was a Sunday. And because I've been getting crushed at the 2-5 table and the bankroll is just getting demolished, it was time to drop down stakes to the 1-2. You know, you do that to build some confidence, build some bankroll back. Don't take yourself too seriously and forget about the money and just remember to have fun and things like that. Anyway, I slide down and I had a quite interesting session. The moral of the story of 1-2 is that 1-2 is unbalanced. People at the 1-2 table do not have a balanced range. They don't know about ranges. They don't know how to balance their value hands with their bluffing hands. So with that being said, they always have it. Or they're always bluffing. But they're pretty easy to spot out. Either the person bluffs every single hand, always just bets, raises, does everything, or the only time they bet, they have it. People don't know how to mix it up quite well at a 1-2 table. So that's the moral of this episode as I go through a few hands that occurred. First hand, pretty early. I have pocket fours in middle position. Early position player makes it 5. There are 2 callers. I decide to call with pocket fours, and we go 5 ways to a flop, which comes Queen 4 deuce rainbow. Pretty phenomenal board, as no one should really have a set of queens. I mean, should raise more than $5 or re-raise, so I have the best hand here almost always. So it checks to me. I check hoping that someone can catch up or bluff at it later. But the last player to act does not disappoint. He throws out a bet of $15. One player calls. I'm definitely sticking around as well. I call. The turn is actually a second queen, and it brings a backdoor heart flush draw. Now, it's even better because if someone did have a queen, they are going to stay and they are going to pay me off. And if someone, for some reason, had like Ace-King of hearts, they're going to stay and be drawing dead. So that's fantastic as well. First player checks, I check as well, and the last player does not disappoint again. He throws out a bet of $25 this time. Early position player is all in for 17, so, you know, don't need to worry about him. But now I want to start building a side pot. I want to get enough money to get everything in. Good size river bet. So I raise it to 55, only $30 more. He shouldn't ever fold, you know, after he bets twice for nearly a min raise. And he does, he calls, which is fantastic for me. Unfortunately, the river is not a heart, which I would have liked better. It is a black 7. I'm not going to let this check through as I am first to act. I am all in for exactly $78. And my opponent thinks about it for a medium amount of time, maybe 20 seconds before folding. So maybe I should have bet less, is what it is. The other player doesn't show, he just mucks, and I show to be polite that I had a full house. In this hand, I am in the big blind, and I have pocket queens. But the pre-flop action is quite heavy for a 1-2 game. Under the gun makes it 7. Under the gun plus 1 makes it 15. 3 bets are very sparse in 1-2. They're right up there in that corner of that graph that shows the hand ranges. They're never messing around with those 3 bets, even small ones, and even like a min 3 bet. They're always right up there. But with queens, I'm never going to just fold, so I call. But unfortunately, under the gun shoves all in for 75. And under the gun plus 2 folds then. So now it's back on me. $60 to call, 60 when 100 and a bit. So I'm really not getting the correct odds, because especially if the worst hand this opponent has is Ace-King suited, and I'm doing 50-50, I'm not really getting the correct best odds. Maybe I am. I don't know. And that's if he has it. I don't think he does. I think he's much better than that. So it takes me about 45 seconds to fold because my 2-5 was just kicking in where I'm like, $75 I have queens, let's go. but I show some discipline there, and I'd like to know in the comments if you think that an under the gun who bets 4 bets has it. Comment now. Okay, I watched that player for about 4 hours. He only played that aggressive one other time, and I got to see what he had. He had pocket kings the next time he played that aggressive, so when I saw that, I immediately thought of this hand and was proud of my fold. All right, so another hand. 4 limpers to me. I'm on the button with 6-7 offsuit. Obviously not a hand that many people should play that often, but in such a passive table where I'm really not getting punished for any nonsense that I'm doing, you know, I'm gonna limp, play in position. There's plenty of good boards for me. See what happens from there. We're going 7 ways to a flop, which comes deuce, 3, 5, rainbow. And it checks all the way to me. Now, I take a few seconds to think about betting here, but I decide not to because I figured that I'm never getting 6 people to fold, even if I bet like $15. You know, both blinds are in there. Hell, they could have, you know, 6-4. They could have 3-5. They could be trapping with that kind of stuff. There's just too many hands when it's limp like that where people can have monsters already. So I check. Hope to hit an 8 or 6 or 7, something like that. Well, the turn is a 4 of spades. Brings a backdoor spade flush draw.
Do you know what this means?
And this time the small blind leads out for $15. The big blind calls and it folds back to me. I consider raising here, but I decide that the small blind in this particular hand has been so spazzy. They've bet like medium to 3/4 pot with like 3rd pair all the time. So I'm thinking that as long as any unconnected card hits, they're gonna bet again and I'm gonna be able to raise on the river anyway. So I have a plan with this. This particular player, they're into this 1-2 game for roughly $1,200. Roughly $60 at a time. This particular player, we're happy to just call and hope to, I guess, trap on the next street. Well, the river is another 5. So that's a bad card because 4-5, 5-3, every set in the deck is full house now. But this time, small blind checks, big blind checks. I think about it for about 20-30 seconds before I assemble a bet of $27 because, like I said, the weak player, I think they're just going to call with a middle pair. With trip 5s, they're definitely going to call. So hopefully I can just get some thin-ish value, I guess. Well, they instantly raise to $70 and the big blind folds.
Donations. You want me to make a donation?
And I am in pain at that point. It is not a fun time because even though everything I've described, they have never check raised, but never gonna really fold top of the straight. So I can still just beat a naked 6, maybe an overvalued 5. I don't know. I'm calling. I call, and they show pocket aces.
Great Scott!
Okay, another hand. With a button straddled to $5, there are 2 callers. I'm in middle position. I have ace-king of clubs. I raise it to 20. A late position player re-raises to 50. And he only has about $75 behind after that. Folds back to me, and I think about it for a while. It's one of those spots again where I just keep thinking that
I'm gonna read your thoughts.
it's unbalanced. Like, I already have ace-king. Like, it's queens at worst. It felt like queens, it really did. It felt weird. The player had never 3-bet before that, and this is his first time. And it's already it's a straddled pot, which there wasn't a whole lot of straddling at the table. When it's bigger than it's normally been going and it's 3-bet, I just kind of take a minute, reluctantly fold face up, and that opponent was nice enough to show me pocket kings. So 1-2 is unbalanced. in another hand that happened a little bit later. I am in early position. I look down at ace deuce of spades. And in a game where you're really not getting punished and there's not a whole lot of raising going on, limping with this hand is really, really fine. It's what I've already said is part of my limping strategy. Try to flush over flush someone. So early position, I limp, and we go 7 ways to a flop. Again, unpunished, so working out well for us there. Flop is 10-9-4, 2 spades, which is pretty great for my hand. Flop a flush draw, it's exactly what you want. Blinds check, I'm in early position, I check because no really reason to bet here, because if someone has a 10 or a 9 or another flush draw, they're gonna call anyway or raise, so we'll just try to pot control. Checks all the way to the button, who puts out a bet of $15, nearly full pot size bet. One of the earlier players, one of the blinds call, I call, everyone else folds. So hope to hit our spade, but we do not. The turn is a red 7. Not really great because board gets a little more connected there. All those middling gappers and 2 gappers get better. Jack 8 made a straight. 8-6 made a straight. 8-7 now is a pair and a straight draw. So it's really not an ideal card. You know, I'm not gonna be able to bluff anyone off this board. Blind checks, I check again. The button bets $25 this time. Again, straightforward, just call for me. The blind folded. The poker gods are in my favor today. The jack of spades hits. We're happy because additionally, any 8 is probably gonna have to call. There's, you know, 1 card straight out there. If you had a straight, you're probably calling. If you had a flush, you're probably calling anyway. If you had like a straight, you'd probably check the river. If you are gonna flush draw, you need to get paid when you hit. So I'm not gonna give him a chance to check it down. I lead out for 60, and the button thinks about it for a pretty long time before counting out a call, putting it forward, and then putting it back in his stack, moving his cards forward, and then pulling it out again, and then finally putting it in. And I show, and he had jack 8 off suit. So when you make your hand, you gotta get paid with it. Can't just call, draw, check when you make your hand. That's not how you're gonna make money at this game. A middle position player, it's folded to him, and he raises to $15. I'm in the big blind with pocket queens, my nemesis of a hand. Like, this game, it's been pretty consistent, a raise to 6 or 7, so a raise that big is abnormal. Put some alarm bells off. 1-2 is unbalanced. Not gonna re-raise, especially from the big blind. I'm just gonna play extra passive and see what happens. Flop is king, queen, 4. 2 spades again. We flopped the best hand we could ever hope for here. I'm in the big blind, I check. The pre-flop aggressor bets 25. He bets 25, leaving himself between $20 and $30 behind. Easy jam here. I don't think he can ever fold. I just throw 1 chip in and say all in. He snap called, and he had pocket aces. Turn brings a sweat with a 5 of spades, but we're able to hold there, so that's fantastic for us. And for a final hand, again, I have pocket queens. With a button straddle, there are 2 callers to me in middle position, pocket queens. I'm raised to 20, pretty standard sizing. Only the button straddler calls. So we are going heads up to this flop, which comes jack 2-3 rainbow. Beautiful board, no overcard for us. We're first to act, and we're just gonna go for some straightforward value. We bet $30. Overcards might call. Any pocket pair at all, because the board is so dry, it might call anyway. Well, he shoves all in for roughly $90. I snap it off and just show my cards. And he has king jack off suit, and we hold. And that is how the session ended. I got up shortly after that.
I got enough practical jokes for one evening. Good night, future boy.
No, wait, Doc.
Made a fantastic profit for a 1-2 game of $373 as we ran the game for $300. And so that was a pretty good hourly, pretty good big blind per hour, especially at a 1-2 table. We are quite happy with that. I'm definitely going to be at a more frequent, hopefully weekly uploading schedule now that my schooling is completed. Yes, I have finally completed my master's degree in finance, so that is a wonderful weight off my shoulders. I have time to pursue other projects, as you will see coming up. And the vlog is going to continue. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you enjoy the content. Thank you.